Hi everyone, I'm Denise with Spiritual Growth Tarot, and this reading is devoted to us for Tuesday, September 1st. And my intention, as always, is to align with the forces of love and truth and to bring in any type of wisdom or message that we might need in order to make the most out of this day, in order to spiritually grow, and also to nurture all aspects of our day, our life. Okay, so 5 cards. So first 2 are the morning and noontime, which is also the theme, and then evening, or afternoon, I'm sorry, into evening. All right. And then also, I've been making little notes. I think I'll start adding a little bit of numerology into the day. Just a simple, not a whole lot of it, because you guys can always look it up. But it's an 8 day for us, which is, the 8s have to do with our power, and a lot of times there's movement and speed, which is what we have right here with the 8 of Wands. And then it also has to do with, just empowerment. Mostly empowerment is what I would say. Because if you turn the 8 symbol sideways, it's the infinity sign, and even up and down, it's, if you just look at the symbology of the movement of the number, can give you a lot of intuitive guidance there as well. Okay, so we have the 8 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles, the 2 of Swords, and the Moon. Okay. So here we have the 8, like I was saying before, which is speed and movement. So I think it's going to be a pretty packed day, start off of the day, in order to nurture the things that you already have in place. And a lot of information may come in. The wands often have to do with like paper and documents, but it's definitely energy for sure. And so something's coming forward with a lot of force and energy, some either news or documents that you need, or things that you need to filter into your day, and maybe even into beginning, the entire week. And then, especially in regards to, I believe all this information will have to do with in regards to things that you've already had going, of course, the things that you've already been working to manifest, and now you're at the point of, okay, is this working? Do I need to make any adjustments? With the 7 of Pentacles, it's a lot to do with, reevaluating things, assessing things, or just evaluating, are my investments of energy paying off? Am I nurturing them in all the right ways that they need? Is there something else I need to do? And with the 5 of Pentacles as the overarching theme for the day, I would say that the best way to handle this is to just go inside and know that you are more than enough. That inside of you, even though if you don't have all the information, or if an overwhelming amount of information has come through and you're like, oh my, what do I do with all this? How do I make these decisions? Well, best I could say is to just to know that you're the one with the key, and you can open the door inside of you that knows that you're more than enough, that you can always, always, always reach out for support and get more information, or help, just support for help, because maybe these things are like handling physical things. Maybe the kids are already back in school and you're having to deal with your own work, and then now homeschooling, and making sure that your kids are sitting there and in front of the computer and getting their lessons and then doing their homework. I mean, it's a lot more than our normal lives used to be. Those of you that have kids. So I normally don't look at this card as an overwhelm, a feeling of overwhelm, but I definitely see it as feeling inadequate. So whenever we're feeling inadequate, it's not the truth. It's not the truth. It's just an important point in our spiritual growth to open up to knowing that we're so much more than we know that we are. With our ego, with our mind, with our mental processes, we are so much bigger than that. Yeah, and so just to always go for the light that's inside of you, always. Right? I mean, just don't forget that the light is inside of you, and the light joins you. Even if it's just a little pinhole of light, and you open up to it, it joins you with the all, which is, all the information, all the support, all the ideas, all the ways to make things easier. And I believe that that's the decision that's on the table for the day, is how do we make things easier, especially those of you with kids at home, doing homeschool, well, or partly homeschool, but doing their schooling online with their teacher, which means that you're having to make decisions to change your schedule around so that it's, you can watch them and that they're not goofing off, or, that they're actually getting the lessons in, which can be really challenging, because it's like now you've taken on another part-time job. And of course it's not paying in the material sense, but it will pay off, in the heart sense, in the long-term beauty of your child and children. And my goodness, my heart goes out to the mothers that have many children that are, different grade levels, and this could just be an all-encompassing, all-day thing, which means that a job that you wanted to take on and have is maybe impossible at this point. And so now it could be that because of all this energy and all this that you're having to handle, and this may, for those of you without children, it might just be, having to do with finding new means of work. But to stay in that place where you have it inside of you to bring in whatever it is that you need. Just hold on to that. Because in the nurturing, this definitely has that reevaluation energy to it. And so if you can make your decisions from the place of knowing that you can get the information you need. If it's training, you can get the training that you need. If it's support from anyone on the outside, even though that person's not in your life yet, or that group of people is not there yet, to know that they're there and they're there for you. It's just a matter of opening up. Take the blindfold off and go towards the decisions that will best nurture what it is that you really need to handle. And for your further development and your further growth, the sustainability of you and your family, or if it's just you alone. And then towards the nighttime, when I get this card, it reminds me to open up to all my unconscious, and also to know that we each have a wise unconscious. And the wisdom can come through in those moments when we're meditating or we're sleeping. It can come through into dream time. So any challenging decisions that you just can't make, and most of the really important decisions, I would say almost all of the really, really important decisions can't be made with just our head. We can't make them with just our brain. We have to take either honor the fact that there's a blindfold here that tells us to go inside and trust our intuition, which is one of the true meanings of this card. Or it can be to take the blindfold off and know that at some point you do have to make the decision, because not making a decision is a decision, and then it keeps you stuck in like a stalemate type of a position, which is another one of the key words with the Two of Swords. Now, with the moon, this brings in the element of to make a really, deep and fully, a meaningful decision that comes from something much, much deeper than just your brain, you are going to have to drop it into meditation, dream time, journaling. You can list out the pros and cons of any decision, and so you can work it through with your mind as much as you want, because we're dealing with very practical matters. So that's always there. But just to remember that deep inside of you, you have this well of wisdom. And I think that at least my experience has been with myself, working it through with my head as much as I could, on a logical means, would get me to the place where I would finally just have to let go, because I couldn't make, when the really important decisions come, I couldn't make it with just my head. My head wasn't, enough. So when you let go and bring that, that question, that decision into dream time, just trust that it will come through. And it might not come through dream time. It might come, it could very well be the answer that, is right there in your brain when you first wake up, but you don't know how you got it. Or it could come through a very profound dream. It could also just filter up out of the subconscious and the unconscious when you're moving through the next day, moving into September 2nd and beyond. But I think that the main message here that our higher selves is trying to teach us is to remember that the important decisions are made from a much deeper place. And to know that we have everything that we need inside of us already. We already have the universe inside of us, and in the nucleus of every cell is the universal life force. So never forget that you are a part of something that is much bigger, and we each have our own individual life plan, and as long as we follow that, we will be in alignment with spiritual law and universal law, and where we're taken good care of, and where the universe is, just to remember that the universe is bound by law to receive you, always, in your unconscious and in your complete consciousness as well. Yeah, okay. Let's do, just to give us something extra, let's use the soul cards. Oh, I'm sorry, this deck I just used was the Light Seers Tarot by Chris-Anne Donnelly, in case you don't already know that. And then this deck is, they're beautiful cards. They're by Deborah, oh my goodness, I put it in the description on one of my last videos. I'll do it again. Deborah Koff-Chapin is her name. And they're soul cards 1 and 2. This one is 1. And they're beautiful images to help you, come deeper inside. It triggers unconscious, subconscious guidance, which is really, really nice to know. So let's do a few cards, so that way, if one isn't right for you, maybe one of the other two will be, or vice versa. So you can have at least one card that can fit all of you. But what do we need to tap into? And I'm doing this so you'll have an image, maybe you can, for the perfect image for you, maybe you can take it in and let it guide you for the day. So for September 1st, okay, so how can we best use the energy of the day to help us grow? Oh, that's interesting. That one's really cool, actually. Okay. Oh, awesome. That's one of my favorite cards. Okay. There you go. So you can pause the video and, shut out my voice and take in the images. But the way I'm seeing this one is to, if we notice here, we have a wise being, her head is filled with light, and she's wise enough to know that we all have a lower self. We all have a part of us that doesn't believe in life being 100% fair or just. And especially nowadays, I mean, my goodness, we are inundated with a tremendous amount of information, and there's a lot of corruption that's up. And it's really important just to remember that the corruption was, it was there before. It's not that it's worse now. It's just that it was there before. And now that we are so connected online and with social media, we see all of it. So it doesn't mean that it's worse. It just means that now we can see it all. And then especially with the transits that we're having with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn, it's pushing, that consciousness and energy is pushing up all of the corruption so that we can see it and then really, deal with it and work through it and hopefully heal it. And so that we can, hold these people accountable who are misusing their power. But just to know that every human being has a lower self aspect. And the lower self aspect doesn't believe in the good in life, doesn't believe in, it's very pessimistic and sometimes paranoid, and doesn't believe that they deserve, doesn't believe that they're good enough, doesn't believe that they matter. There's always an issue of self-worth that's involved. Doesn't believe that they belong. I mean, there are just so many lies, just lies and mental tapes that we bring in each lifetime. We each have our own individual, soul split. So to tame the lower self and know that, yeah, we have it, but it's like, remember Louise Hay, she used to always say, oh, well, when something negative would come up, she would say, okay, well, thank you for sharing. And she would, work to heal it. Now, for me, when I get lower self-guidance, I know that comes from my higher self, because unless you're ready to deal with it, you're not going to get it. If you're not going to get the negative, when you get the negative messages about yourself, that's actually priceless information that you can say, hey, wait a minute. I know there's a part of me that knows that this is not true. It's 100% the opposite, is actually the truth. And then you can take it and turn it around, and you can also try and figure out where the false belief came from. And with that, you can work through it. So I believe that these cards are tied together because, to me, well, you guys, tell me whatever you get, but the way I see it is just, this could be like a blood red moon. This could also relate to the life force. And this being is, this human body, this human person is like moving forward. To me, it looks like we're climbing out of the challenging places that we've been, where we feel kind of stuck down. Now, not that the darker colors are, it doesn't mean like darkness. It just could be like the earthy substance, the time-space continuum, where here on Earth we are, things don't go as quickly as our beings can imagine, we are a bit, we are not blocked. I wouldn't want to say a big obstacle, but we are in matter that is denser than our spirits. So in our human bodily experience, our humanity has an experience that is much slower than our spirit. And because our body and our soul are one, it can really be challenging emotionally. So, combined with this card, to me, this card is all about putting it out there. Whatever, if you want to get rid of something, if you're working, to transform the lower self, then any movement forward will help you clear it out, if you want to look at it that way. This also can be looked at as maybe where you held back something because you thought you weren't good enough, which would go with that Five of Cups that we had up here before. But if you're in that feeling of lack or just some, any inferiority, any Yeah, any type of lack, inner lack at all, any inner deprivation, if you can let go of that and just move towards what you're trying to kind of slog through and tap into your life force and know that the life force is all around you to help you get to that place where you can finally be free enough to share it. You know, I mean, notice the beautiful purple, you know, right there in her third eye in the forehead. Notice all the purple. There's a lot of beauty here. And I like the, you know, the navy blue because it always reminds me of integrity, which is why I use a navy blue cloth here, because I want to get into the truth and the integrity of the situations in all the readings. And we have the healing, you know, teal color here combined with the blue and the green. So there's a lot of integrity there as well. Yeah, to me this card feels like the human condition, and this does as well because we each have a lower self. But it doesn't mean that we ever, you know, get rid of it. It's like we can't get rid of our ego because we wouldn't be able to speak up and say our name. We would just be in that 100% bliss of like, you know, you wouldn't be able to speak up. So it's about taming it and putting our ego and our lower self, little material that comes up, just to take that energy and put it into the service of love, which is what she's doing here. It's really beautiful. It looks to me like guided by universal energy and life force, and then just putting yourself out there. Wow. Okay, so that is all I have to say for today. And thank you guys. I welcome your comments and questions. And meanwhile, take good care, and I'll be back for the 2nd pretty soon, for September 2nd. Okay, bye.